Good evening. Today we'll be studying the fourth chapter of Hilchot Ma'achalot Asurot. In this chapter, we'll deal with the topics of a nevela and terefa. We'll also speak about the combination of different isurim and if they can contribute to each other for the minimum shi'ur, for the minimum amount for one to be liable for violating the law if he ate something forbidden. If he ate rather two things that are forbidden. And the last part of the chapter will speak about different parts of the animal that may or may not be considered to be liable. If one ate them, one may or may not be liable for eating those parts of the animal. Okay, פרק רביעי, הלכה א', האוכל מכזית בשר בהמה שמתה. Anyone who eats the size of a kezait is the volume of a mid-sized olive. So anyone who eats the shi'ur of a kezait, of flesh of an animal that died on its own, or hayya shemeta, or a hayya that died on its own, or of shemet, or a chicken or bird rather, that died on its own, loke would be liable for malkut. And as the Torah says, you may not eat any nevela. And nevela literally means a corpse, but for our purposes, it means an animal that died on its own. And any animal that died on its own, and any animal that was not slaughtered according to the laws of shechita and according to the laws of shechita, is considered to be meta, is considered to have died on its own. And in the laws of shechita, the next treatise, we will clarify exactly what we mean when we say the proper shechita and what we mean when we say improper shechita. Halacha bet. The prohibition of nevela only applies to kosher animals only. Because only those animals are eligible for shechita. And if they are slaughtered properly according to the laws of shechita, they would be permitted to be eaten. However, non-kosher animals that shechita does not do anything to them. If shechita was done to a non-kosher animal, it is still prohibited to be eaten because it is a non-kosher animal, whether it was slaughtered or whether it died on its own, or if someone cut flesh from the live non-kosher animal and ate it, he would not be liable for malkut because of violating the prohibition of nevela or a terefa. Rather, he would be liable because he ate not kosher meat. Halacha gimel. Ha'ochel of tahor hai kol shehu loke mishum ochel nevela. Anyone who eats a kosher bird while it is live, yes, hold on 1 second. Yes, anyone who eats a kosher bird of any size alive is liable for eating a nevela. Even though the bird does not have a kezait of flesh, he would be liable because he ate the entire bird. Yes, and as we mentioned in the previous chapter, if anyone ate a creature whole, he would be liable, even if there is less than a kezait that he ate. But if he ate the whole bird, after it died, he would only be liable until he eats a kezait, even though the entire bird itself does not contain the volume of a kezait. Sorry, because even though the bird itself doesn't have a kezait of the volume of a kezait of flesh of basar. Because since the bird, along with the other parts of it, aside from the flesh, does contain a kezait. Again, yes, the whole bird with the veins and the sinews and everything aside from the flesh, it contains a kezait. He would be liable for violating the isur of nevela. Anyone who ate the kezait of flesh of a stillborn kosher animal would be liable for malkut, for violating the isur of nevela. And regarding behemot, it is prohibited to eat them until they are left for 8 days. Because any behema that was born and did not live for 8 days is considered a stillborn. But one would not be liable for malkut if he ate it. And if it is known that it completed the full pregnancy cycle in the womb of the mother and then it was born, and the cycles differ for behemot gasot and behemot dakot. For behemot gasot, the cycle would be 9 months, and for behemot dakot, it would be 5 months. An example of a behemah gasa is a larger animal, for example, cattle, and the behemah dakar are smaller behemot, for example, a sheep or a goat. Harezem mutar miyom shenolad. It is permitted to eat the behemah, provided again it completed the full pregnancy cycle. It is permitted to eat them right after they were born. Hashiliya sheyatza im havalad asura ba'achila v'ha'ochla patur she'ena basar. The placenta that comes out of the animal while after it gives birth is prohibited to be eaten, and anyone who eats it, however, would be exempt from malkut, because it is not considered meat. It is not considered basar. Halakha he. Now that pretty much covers the topic of nevela. Now we'll move to the other isur, the isur of nevela. Anyone who eats the kezait of flesh of a behema or haya or of that was rendered a terefa is liable for malkut. As we'll see in Hilchot Shechita Perek Yod, there are 70 ways an animal may be rendered a terefa. So anyone who eats a kezait of a behema or haya or of that are kosher, that was rendered a terefa, is liable for malkut. Shneimar basar basad terefa lo tochelu lakev tashichun oto, as the Torah says. Any meat or the flesh, yes. Loosely translated, an animal that was torn apart by another animal may not be eaten. It must be cast away or given to the dog to be eaten. Halacha vav. Terefa ha'amura b'Torah, this terefa that is stated in the Torah, zo shetarefa ota hayat hayar, is referring to a terefa that was torn apart and injured by a predatory animal, kigon, ari, venamer, v'chayotza behen, for example, a lion or a leopard or anything of that sort. V'chen of shetaraf oto of hadores. And another example of it, this terefa that is mentioned in the Torah, is a predatory bird that came and injured it. Kigon net v'chayotzeba, for example, a falcon or any other type of predatory bird. And you can't say that it tore it apart and killed it. Because if you say that it killed it, it would be a nevela. ומלי מתה מחמת עצמה, או היכה בסית בהמיתה, או שברה ארי בהמיתה. And what would be the difference if it died on its own, or if it was killed by a sword, or if it was struck by a lion and killed? Rather, the Torah must be talking about when it says "Uvasar bisde terefa lo tochelu" is an animal that was attacked and torn apart, but was still alive. Halacha zayin. Im haterefa shelo meta asura, יכול אם בא זאב וגרר הגדי ברגלו, או בזנבו, או באוזנו ורדף והצילו מפניו, יהיה אסור שהרי נטרף. If this terefa is an animal that did... Yes, so if the terefa that we mentioned is an animal... Yes, if then a behema that was injured, that has not died as a result of being torn apart, is forbidden. So you might assume that if a wolf comes and drags the goat by its foot or by its tail or by its ear, and then someone came after the wolf and saved the gedi, it would be prohibited because it was attacked, because it was injured. Therefore, the Torah said that an animal that was attacked, you must send it to the dog. It is not forbidden until it until it becomes fit for a dog, meaning it caused it to die soon after it was attacked. Halamalta. Halacha het. Halamalta שהטרפה האמורה בתורה היא שטרפה אותה חיית היער ושברה אותה ונתת למות ועדיין לא מתה. From here we learn that the terefa mentioned in the Torah refers to an animal that is that was attacked and crushed by an animal, a predatory animal, that it is fatally wounded, but is still alive. Even if someone came and did shehita on the animal before it died, while it was in this fatally wounded state, it is prohibited because of the prohibition of terefa. Because it is highly unlikely for this animal to live after it was attacked in the way it was attacked. Even yes, for long after. Yes, if you leave it, yes, because it wouldn't continue to live after you slaughtered it for a long time, again as a result of the animal that attacked it. הלכה ט' נמצאת למד שהתורה אסרה המתה. From here we learn that the Torah prohibited an animal that died on its own. Vehi hanevela, and this is called the nevela. Va'asra hanota lamut mahamat makoteha ve'af al pi she'adayin lo meta, and it also prohibited an animal that is bound to die because of some type of injury, even though it is still alive. Vehi haterefa, and this is called the terefa. Uchshem shelo tahalok b'meta, ben meta mehamat atzma, ben shenafla umeta, ben shehanakah ad shemeta, ben shederasta haya baharagatah. And just as we don't differentiate in the way that it died regarding a nevela, so we don't differentiate if it died naturally or if it fell from the roof and died, or if it was strangled, or if it was killed by a predator. So too we don't differentiate in regards to an animal that is bound to die. Ben sheterafatah haya ushvaratah, ben shenafla min hagag ונשתברו רוב צלעותיה, בין שנפלה ונתרסקו איבריה, בין שזרק בחץ וניקב ליבה או ריאתה, בין שבא לה חולי מחמת עצמה וניקב ליבה או ריאתה, או שיבר רוב צלעותיה וכיוצא בהן. Again, just as we don't differentiate with a nevela, we also don't differentiate in a terefa regarding whether it was attacked by a predator and injured, whether it fell from the roof and broke most of its ribs, or if it fell and its limbs and organs were crushed, or if an arrow was shot at it and it pierced its heart or its lung, or if it contracted some type of disease on its own and as a result its heart or lung was pierced, or if it broke, or if the illness she contracted resulted in the breaking of most of its ribs or anything of that sort. Since it is bound to die in all of these cases, it is considered a terefa. Harezo terefa ben shaya gorem bide basar vadam ben shaya bide shamayim. It is considered a terefa whether the cause of it being a terefa was by a living creature or through natural causes. Imken halachayod lama ne'emar b'Torah terefa. If that is the case, why does the Torah then explicitly say a terefa? And with as we mentioned before, that the terefa that the Torah refers to, that the Torah specifically is referring to, is an animal that a predatory animal that attacked it. Diber haTorah bahove. This is an important rule, and the reason why the Torah uses the language of terefa is because the Torah spoke in terms of what typically occurs, and it spoke to man, and whatever man perceived as common is how the Torah put certain phrases. Another example the Gemara in Masechet Hulin brings in regards to Diber HaTorah Bahove is the pasuk of Lo Tebashel Gedi Bahalev Imo. From the simple reading and the simple and just the way anyone reading the Torah may read this pasuk, he may conclude that the only prohibition is to cook milk and meat. However, we know that there are a couple of prohibitions: one to cook milk and meat, one to eat milk and meat, and one to derive benefit from milk and meat. And so the Gemara asks, so then why did the Torah say it the way say lo tevashel gedi b'chalev imo? Because from the Torah it only seems that only that cooking milk and meat is prohibited. The Gemara answers that the Torah diber hakatuv bahove. The Torah spoke in terms of what was common and what typically occurs. She'im lo nomar ken lo te'aser ella sheni terefa baseder. Because if we don't say this, the whole explanation of the terefa that we just gave, that it's not solely a predatory animal, rather it's anything that would cause the animal to die in a short period of time. So if we don't say this, the only type of terefa that we would prohibit is only a terefa that was struck in the field. Aval imni terefa behatzer lo te'aser. But if it was struck or injured in the courtyard, it would not be prohibited, because the pasuk says Uvasar basade terefa, but it doesn't specify any other location. So just as we say that it is not necessarily that an animal came and attacked it, rather it's anything that would cause the animal to die soon after it was struck or injured, or contracted a disease and it wouldn't live for long. So too, in regards to the sadeh, so too that the whole phrase of uvasar bazadeh terefa lo tochelu is referring to, again, anything that would result in the animal's death soon after it was injured, or again it contracted some type of disease. So if we don't say that the Torah spoke in terms of what was frequent, of what was commonplace, the only type of terefa that we would prohibit, if you simply read the pasuk, would be it's only an animal that was struck in the field, but it would not be prohibited if it was struck in any other place. From here we learn that the Torah uses language only in regards to what frequently occurs and what was commonplace and how people would typically speak. ועניין הכתוב שהנוטה למות מחמת מכותיה. And the wider intention of the pasuk is to include any animal that was bound to die because of any type of wound or injury. ואי אפשר לה לחיות מחמת מכה זו אסורה, and it would be highly unlikely for this animal to survive that injury or that illness is prohibited. מכאן אמרו חכמים, from here חכמים said, זה הכלל, כל שאין כמוה חיה טרפה. And Hamim said that the general rule is the following, that any disease or injury that would afflict an animal and it would most probably not survive is deemed a terefa. ובהלכות שחיטה יתבאר איזה חולי עושה אותה terefa ואיזה חולי אין עושה אותה terefa. And in הלכות שחיטה, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll study that in the coming weeks, we will clarify which illnesses would result in the animal becoming a terefa, and which animals would not, and which illness would not result in the animal being a terefa. And the terefot, in just a preview, the terefot are pretty much injuries and illnesses that Chachamim listed and agreed with it, obviously, in the presence of their court, that these are considered terefot, even though they may or may not be 100% accurate today based on our sciences. As we mentioned multiple times, the halacha is the halacha independent of what science or whatever new discoveries come about in the field of biology in regards to terefa, but also this applies for any other topic in the halacha, also for Chot Shabbat, and any other topics that we've mentioned until this point. Halacha Yod Aleph. Dechen hachotech basar min ha'chai min ha'tehorim. So to anyone who cuts flesh from a live kosher animal, and just to note, this is different from the isur of eved min ha'chai. Eved min ha'chai is cutting a limb of an animal. Here we're simply talking about someone cutting a piece of flesh from an animal. Hare oto habasar terefa. That flesh that he cut from the kosher animal is considered a terefa. And anyone who eats a kezait of it is liable because of he violated the prohibition of not eating a terefa. Shehare basar zeh, because this flesh mibehema shelo nishhata velo meta, because this flesh is from an animal that was not slaughtered and has not died. Umali terefa ota haya mali hatacha besakin. And it doesn't matter if a predator tore it apart or if the flesh was cut by a person. Mali bechula, mali biksatat. And it doesn't matter if the entire flesh was taken from the animal, and it doesn't matter if simply a small part of the flesh was removed from the animal and eaten. The Torah says that the flesh of an animal that was torn apart in the field may not be eaten. Since the flesh, in this case that you cut off, was like flesh that was left in the field, it is considered a terefa. And Chachamim learned that the language of uvasar bisde terefa is a little bit redundant, and there's no reason. It seems that the Torah would have to add uvasar basade terefa. So the intent of the Chachamim learned that the intent of the extra word of basadeh comes to teach us that any flesh that was left, that was removed from the animal, just as an animal and flesh that is torn apart in the field, the flesh is simply left. The same applies to prohibit any flesh that was cut from a live kosher animal and considered and is regarded as a terefa. Halacha Yod Bet. Now we'll move to a different topic. And that topic is an animal that is something called goses, an animal that it became weak on its own, not because of any illness or any injury. Rather, it simply became old and became weak, again, naturally. Any animal, any behema that became sick and became weak on its own and is about to die, since it was not wounded in any part of its body that would cause it to die, it is permissible. Because the Torah only prohibited an animal that only forbade that animal which is compared to an animal that was torn up, that was injured and torn apart by another animal. Because a wound, because it caused it to have a wound from which it will surely die. Even though this type of animal is permissible, the great sages would not eat an animal that was swiftly slaughtered in order for it not to die on its own and become a nevela, thereby prohibiting it to be eaten. Even though it moved and trembled at the end of the shahita. And if anyone has ever seen a shahita, after the animal is slaughtered, it moves and trembles a little bit after at the end of the shahita. And so we'll see how that's relevant in a few moments. But this movement at the end of the shahita demonstrates that at the moment of the shahita, the animal was still alive. Thereby, if it was again nishhata and properly slaughtered, it would be permitted to be eaten. But again, the great sages would refrain from eating this type of animal. And there is no issue in regards to this type of animal. Rather, anyone who wants to be strict on himself in regards to this is praiseworthy. Halacha Yod Gimel. השוחט בהמה חיה ועוף, ולא יצא ממהן דם, הרי אלו מותרים, ואין אומרים שמא מתה הייתה. Anyone who slaughters a behema or a haya or an off, and blood did not come out from it, this animal is permitted, and we don't say that it was dead before the shahita. So to anyone who did shahita on a healthy animal and did not move at the end of the shahita, and tremble at the end of the shake or tremble at the end of the shahita, it is permissible. However, a dangerously ill animal, and and a dangerously ill animal is defined that any animal that cannot stand on its own and must be assisted to stand, even though it may eat like a healthy animal. If the mesukenet was slaughtered and did not tremble or shake at the end of the shahita, it is considered a nevela, and one would be liable for malkut because if he ate it. But if it did shake and move at the end of the shahita, it is permitted because it shows that the animal is alive before the shahita. At the end of the shahita, yes, it was alive before it was slaughtered. And the pirkus must be at the end of the shahita, but before the shahita, it does not demonstrate that the animal was alive at the end of the shahita. Halacha Tedvav. Now Harambam exactly will give us the definition of this pirkus. Ketzad hu ha-pirkus. What is this pirkus and this movement at the end of the shahita that we're referring to, that again demonstrates that the animal is alive at the end of the is alive before it was slaughtered. Bivhema daka uhaya ben gasa ben daka, regarding a behema daka and a haya, whether big or small, בין שפשטה ידה והחזירתה, או שפשטה רגלה, אבל בשלא החזירתה, או שכפפה רגלה בלבד, הרי זו פרכוס ומותרת. Whether it stretched out its hand and pulled it back, or if it stretched out its leg, even though it did not bring it back. And the reason we don't the reason it's enough for the animal to simply stretch it out its leg and not bring it back is because the legs are heavier than the arms, and it's difficult to return the leg back to its position after it was stretched and again after it was slaughtered. But regarding the hand is lighter and is a more natural type of movement, I guess, and that's why we require the hand to be stretched out and pulled back, but it's enough for the animal to stretch out its leg only. Or if it folded its leg, this is considered pirkus, and it is permitted. אבל אם פשטה ידה ולא החזירתה, הרי זו אסורה שאין זו אלא הוצאת נפש. But if it stretched out its hand and did not retract it, it is asur, because this is simply a sign that it died, not that it was alive right before the shahita. הלכת ט' זין, ובבהמה גסה, אחד היד ואחד הרגל, and regarding a larger animal, whether it was the hand or the leg, בין שפשטה ולא כפפה, בין שכפפה ולא פשטה, הרי זו פרכוס ומותרת, whether it stretched out the hand or the leg, or it returned or it folded the leg and did not stretch it out, is considered pirkus, and it would be permitted. But if it did not stretch out its hand or its leg, or fold its hand or its leg, it is considered a nevela. Halacha yod zayin. Uva'of, אפילו לא רפרף אלא בעינו ולא קשקש אלא בזנבו, הרי זו פרכוס. Regarding a bird, even if all it did was flutter its eye or twitch its tail, this is considered pirkus, and any animal that makes this type of any bird rather that makes this type of subtle movement demonstrates that it's alive before the shechita. השוחטת המסוכנת בלילה ולא ידע אם פרכסה או לא פרכסה, הרי זו ספק נבלה ואסורה. Anyone who slaughters an animal that is dangerously ill at night, and he didn't know if it did the pirkus or not, it is considered a sefek nevela and prohibited. Halacha yod het. Now we'll move to a different topic, which is the combination of two different forbidden items, and the question of if they can combine together to cause someone to be liable if he ate both of them at the same time, and they are both less than the shi'ur for one to be liable. So, but together they would be enough to make someone liable. So halacha yodhet kol isurin shebatorah, all of the prohibitions in the Torah, and mitzarefin ze im ze, chutz mi'isure nazir kemo she'itba'er sham. So all the isurim in the Torah, if combined with each other, do not combine to make up the minimum amount in order for one to be liable, aside from the prohibitions regarding a nazir, as B'ezrat Hashem will see in Ilchot Nazirut Perek He. And Harambam here will give an example. Lefikach, therefore, halokech me'at chelev um'at dam, um'at besar behema teme'ah, um'at besar nevela, um'at besar dag tameh, um'at besar of tameh v'chayotze ba'elu mishar ha'isurin v'tzerev min hakol kazayit va'achalo eno lokeh. So, vedino kedin ochel hatzi shi'ur. Therefore, if someone took a little bit of chelev, which is forbidden fats of the animal, of only behemot rather, and a little bit of blood, and a little bit of not kosher meat, and a little bit of the flesh of a nevela, and a little bit of the of meat of a non-kosher fish, and a little bit of meat from a non-kosher bird, and any other prohibited, and any other food that is prohibited. For example, another example is tevel, or la, or hametz on Pesach, and he combined all of these in order, and only when he combines these forbidden foods, these different types of forbidden foods, does he get a kezait, and he eats the kezait, he would not be liable for malkut, and anyone who does this would be regarded as someone who ate the hatzi shiur, which is less than obviously the amount for one to be liable. And as you mentioned, I think 1 or 2 chapters ago, Hatzi Shiur is Asur Me'at Torah, is prohibited from scriptural law, but one would not be liable for Malkut if he ate a Hatzi Shiur, but would be liable for Makat Mardut. Yeah, so again, important halacha. All the Isurim in the Torah, again, do not combine with each other in order to make one liable. So if someone had half a kezait of blood and half a kezait of helev, both of which are forbidden, and he ate them both, he would not be liable because it's not, because again, we say that 2 forbidden things don't combine with each other to make up the minimum amount for one to be liable, aside from, again, the isurim of a nazir. Halacha Yod Tet. Kol hanevelot mitzarefot zo im zo, unvela mitzarefet im haterefa. All kinds of nevelot, as we'll see right now, an exception to this rule, but not really an exception. So all kinds of nevelot combine with one another to cause someone, they combine with one another to make up the minimum amount for one to be liable for. And a nevela also can be combined with a terefa. And also any animal and hayya, any behema and non-kosher behema and hayya combine with one another, again, to make up the minimum amount for one to be hayyav. However, the flesh of a nevela and the flesh of a non-kosher animal do not combine with one another to make up the minimum amount for one to be hayyav. הלכה כיצד? הלוקח מנבלת השור ונבלת הצבי ונבלת התרנגול וכיבס מן הכל כזית בשר ואכלו לוקח. If someone took the nevela of a shor and the nevela of a tzevi and the nevela of a tarnegol, of a chicken, and bunch it up together in order to make it a kezait and ate it, he would be liable for malkut, because all of these are nevelot, and as we just mentioned, all the nevelot combined with each other. וכן אם קיבץ חצי זית מנבלת בהמה טהורה וחצי זית מן הטרפה או חצי זית מבשר נבלה וחצי זית מבשר מן החי מן הטהרות ואכלו לוקה. Also, if someone bunched together half of a kezait of a kosher nevela, a kosher carcass of a behema, and half a zait of a terefa, or if he took half a zait of the flesh of a nevela and half a zait of a piece of flesh that he cut from a behemat tehora, which, as you mentioned, is considered a terefa, and ate it, both of them, he would be liable for malkut. V'chen besar hagamal ve'hazir ve'arnevet shekibes mikulan kazait ve'achalot. Okay, so if he took meat of a camel and meat of a pig and meat of an arnevet and bunched it up together in order to make a kezait and ate it, he would be liable for malkut. Aval im tzeref hatzi zait minivlat hashor v'hatzi zait mibesar hagamal en mistarefin v'chen kol kayotze bazeh. But if he bunched up together half a kezait of the nevela of an ox and half a zait of the nevet of a gamal, which again, we have here a nevela, and on the other hand we have half a zait of a nevela and half a zait of a gamal, which is a not kosher animal. As you mentioned, the nevela and a not kosher animal do not combine. They do not combine, and one would not be liable for malkut. V'chen kol kayotze bazeh, and so to anything of this sort. Halacha kaf aleph. V'chen kol behema temea ve'of tameh. או דג טמא ועוף טמא, אין בשר שלהן מצטרף, לפי שהן שתי שמות, שהרי כל אחד מהן בלאו בפני עצמו, כמו שבראנו. So too, in regards to a not kosher behema and a not kosher off and a non kosher non kosher fish. Yes, mechila. So also, so too, regarding a non-kosher behema and a non-kosher off, or a non-kosher fish and a non-kosher off, and besar, the flesh of the two of them do not combine, because they are two different categories, because each one of these is prohibited by a separate lav, as we mentioned in Perek Bet. The besar of a teme'ah and the of tameh. Notice that Harambam didn't give it as an example the besar and of a teme'ah and the behema. Yes, sorry, he doesn't say the behema teme'ah and the hayya teme'ah, because as we mentioned at the opening of this treatise that the behema and hayya are considered under the same lav. So Harambam was very careful in his language and said that the behema teme'ah and the of tameh, which are two separate lavin. So because, again, they're two different categories, they are not mitzaref. About kol ha'ofot ha'teme'in mitzarefim. However, within the category of not kosher birds, the non kosher birds do combine. Just as all not kosher behemot and hayot would combine. Zeh hakila. The following is the rule. Kol she'isuran belav ehad mitzarefin. All the animals that are forbidden by the same lav combine with one another. בשני לוויין אין מצטרפין חוץ מן נבלה וטרפה הואיל והטרפה תחילת נבלה היא. However, if they are two separate lavin, if two things are prohibited by two separate lavin, they don't combine with one another, aside from the nevela and the terefa, because the terefa is essentially the first stage of the nevela, because it will die soon anyway. Halacha kaf bet. האוכל מנבלה וטרפה, או מבהמה וחיה הטמאים, בין העור, בין העצמות, ומן הגידין, ומן הקרניים והטלפיים, ומן הציפורניים של העוף ממקומות שמבצבץ משם הדם כשיחתכו, ומן השלייה שלהן, אבל כשהוא אסור, הרי זה פטור, מפני שאין אלו ראויים לאכילה, ואין מצטרפים עם הבשר לכזית. So this, from here, for the next couple of halachot, Harambam will explain different parts of the animal that are prohibited to be eaten or may be permitted to be eaten. So in this halacha, Harambam lists certain parts of the animal that are prohibited to be eaten. So anyone who eats from a nevela or a terefa, or so anyone who eats the following parts from a nevela or a terefa, or from a behema, from a non-kosher behema or hayya, if he eats from their skin, or from their bones, or from their sinews, or from their horns, or from their hooves, or from their nails, that blood would come out if cut, or from the placenta, even though someone who eats, all of these parts of the animal are asur, but if someone ate it, he would be patur, because these parts of the animal are not really fit for consumption, and they do not combine with the flesh for the kezai to obligate someone in malkut. This halacha is very, very interesting and has some pretty relevant halacha lema'aseh ramifications. One of them is gelatin. So gelatin is made out of pig bone, and the process in which gelatin is made is that the pig bones are crushed and are eaten by chemicals. Essentially, they still are pig bone, but one may argue, as Chacham Ovadia Yosef argues, that since the pig bone are totally changed form and they're not really considered pig bone anymore, this is one of the bases in which he permits gelatin to be eaten. There is another opinion, that of the Rashba, who disagrees with Harambam and says not that these parts of the animal are asur and someone who eats them would be patur. Rather, he says that they are mutar. However, Harambam's position is pretty clear, Then he says that Afa Pi again, Afa Pi Shehu Asur Hareze Patur, מפני שאין אלו ראויים לאכילה ואין מצטרפים מן הבשר לחזית. It is prohibited to eat these, but one who eats them would be patur, and again that includes bones of a not kosher animal. And yes, and I myself am not sure what Harambam would say in regard to gelatin. If anyone has any thoughts, I'd really love to hear them. You can comment on the YouTube page or send me a WhatsApp. Halacha Kaf Gimel. Kevat hanevela vekevat hatemea muteret. So the keva is another name for the food that is digested in the belly of the behema and of the haya. So for example, so one reason why this would be relevant is because it would maybe used to curdle milk in order to make cheese, as we mentioned in Perek Gima. So the keva, the food that is inside the animal of a nevela and a teme'a is permissible because it is considered just like all the other dirt and excrement and digested food in the body of the animal. Therefore, it is permitted to curdle milk in the keva, in the inside of an animal that was slaughtered by a goy, and of the animal that is non-kosher. Aval or hakeva harehu kishar hame'ayim be'asur. However, what they would do back in the day, and this is what Chachamim prohibited, is that they didn't just prohibit this. Rather, this was one of the bases in which they prohibited cheese from goyim. Rather, the stomach linings of the animal is considered as part of the innards of the animal itself and is prohibited. So the distinction that we're making here is the keva of the animal and the or hakeva. The keva is muteret because it is, and again the keva is food and other and yes, that it's food and yes, it's food that was digested already by the animal, and it's considered like some type that like excrement and like already digested food in the animal. And with that, it is permitted to curdle milk. However, regarding the stomach lining of the non-kosher animal, it is prohibited to curdle milk. And just as a reminder from the previous chapter, Chachamim prohibited, the Chachmei HaMishnah made a gezerah on Gevinat Goyim and prohibited it on all cheese made by Goyim because because they would curdle cheese again in the stomach lining of the animal that they slaughter, which is considered a nevela. Or habba keneged panav shel lahamor mutar ba'achila mipnei shehu kemo haperish me'raglaim shehen mutarot. The skin in the front of the donkey's face is permitted to be eaten because it is like excrement and urine, which are permitted. Halacha kavdalit. Yesh orot shehen kabasar va'ochel mehen kazayit ke'ochel min habasar vehu. There are types of skin of different animals that are regarded as flesh, and anyone who eats a kezait of this flesh, it's as if he eats. We regard it as if he. Yes, and anyone who eats of the skin a kezait, it's as if he is eating a kezait of flesh, and this is provided that he eats the skin while it is soft. And the following are the types of skin that are regarded as flesh. Or ha'adam, the skin of humans. Ve'or hazir shel yishuv, and also skin of a domesticated pig. Ve'or hatoret shel gamal shelo ta'anu alav masa me'olam ve'lo higia lemasa she'adayin hiraka, or the skin of the hump of a camel that did not carry a burden yet, or it did not reach the age to carry a burden, that the skin is soft, or the skin of the animal's private parts, and the skin that is under the tail of the animal, in the skin of a fetus, or the skin of the anaka. The anaka is a gecko, and the koah is another type of reptile, the also other types of reptiles, lizards and chameleons. The leta'a, I believe, is the lizard, and the homet is the chameleon. I'm not sure what the koah is. Regarding these types of skins that we mentioned, it is considered to be flesh while they are soft. Ben the isur achila, ben the tuma. This is also regarding the purposes. Yes, this is the purposes for the purposes of eating and for the purposes of tum'ah. Halacha kaf bet. Now halacha kaf he. The final halacha in this chapter will deal with the shor haniskal and the prohibition of eating and deriving benefit from the shor haniskal. Ne'emar b'shor haniskal. Yes, a reminder of what the shor haniskal is. The shor haniskal is an ox that gored and killed a Jewish citizen, or if it had relations and was put to death, and was sentenced to death to be stoned by the court of 23 judges. Yes, so with that we'll read the halacha. Ne'emar b'shor and it is again prohibited to derive benefit from the shor haniskal. Ne'emar b'shor haniskal. It is said in regarding to the shor haniskal, the ox that is to be stoned. Lo ye'achel et besaro. Its meat may not be eaten. How exactly would it be possible to eat the flesh of the shor haniskal after it was stoned, considering it would be a nevela because shahita was not done to it? So how can we say? So why does the Torah say that its meat may not be eaten if it is to be stoned, rendering it a nevela? Ella lo bahakatuv ella lo hodi'acha. Rather, the Torah only came to teach us the following: Shekevan shenigmar dino liskila ne'esar. Once it was sentenced to be stoned, it is prohibited. V'na'asa kivhema temea, and it is regarded as a not kosher animal. Ve'im kadam ushhato shehita keshera hare ze asur bahanaya. And if someone came and did a proper shehita to the animal, it is prohibited to derive benefit from it. Ve'im achal mi besaro kazait loken. If he ate a kezait from the flesh of the shor haniskal, even if shehita was done to it, that person would be liable for malkut. So too, after it was stoned, it may not be sold. And it may not be given to the dogs or to a non-Jew. That's why the Torah came to say that you may not eat its meat. Also, the excrement of the shor haniskal is permitted to derive benefit from it. If we find out that it was exempt from being stoned after it was sentenced, for example, if we find that the witnesses were guilty of collusion, it may go back to as it was before and may go back to graze with its flock. But if it was found to be innocent and it shouldn't have been stoned, after it was stoned, if after it was stoned we find out that it shouldn't have been stoned, the meat is permitted for one to derive benefit from it. With that, we conclude the fourth chapter of Asurot. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll study Perik Hamishi tomorrow, which deals with very, very interesting topic, that of Eber Minahai. Bezat Hashem will do that tomorrow. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.